numismatic history, the 1965 Roosevelt dime, and we are going to explore why a coin with a face value of just 10 cents could be worth as much as $95 million in certain rare cases, and why this particular year holds such a special place in the hearts of coin enthusiasts and investors all over the world, because the 1965 dime represents one of the most important turning points in the history of U.S. coinage, as it was the very first year that the United States Mint transitioned away from 90% silver composition to the copper-nickel clad composition we are so familiar with today, and this transition caused a wave of confusion and unexpected minting errors that have made some of these coins astronomically valuable. So let us start by understanding the historical context, because before 1965 dimes, quarters and half dollars were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, giving them not only intrinsic metal value but also a very distinct look, feel and sound. And as silver prices started climbing in the early 1960s, the intrinsic value of these coins started to approach or even exceed their face value, leading to hoarding, melting and severe coin shortages across the country, and this was a major problem for commerce. So in 1965 Congress authorized the Coinage Act, which eliminated silver from dimes and quarters and reduced it in half dollars to 40%, and this change was supposed to solve the shortage, but it also created a unique window where planchets of both silver and copper nickel were being used in the mint simultaneously, which is where some of the most valuable transitional errors came from, because some 1965 dimes were accidentally struck on leftover 90% silver planchets from 1964, making them rare transitional errors that collectors pay huge premiums for. And when we say huge premiums, we mean life-changing money, because one of these coins in pristine condition could easily sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in some cases coins with additional errors like double dies, off-center strikes, missing clad layers or rare full band details on the torch can reach the multi-million-dollar mark, and that is where the stories of $95 million valuations come from, because when rarity, condition, demand and historical significance all align in a single coin, the market can go absolutely wild, and collectors are willing to pay staggering amounts to own such a unique piece of history. Now let us talk about the specific kinds of errors that make a 1965 dime so special, because there are multiple possibilities that can turn an ordinary pocket change find into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. First, we have the transitional error, where the coin is struck on a silver planchet instead of the intended copper-nickel clad. This happens because during the transition period the mint still had leftover silver planchets in the hoppers, and occasionally they were fed into the presses, creating an off-year silver strike, and these coins can be confirmed by weighing them, since a silver dime weighs 2.5 grams while a clad dime weighs about 2.27 grams, and you can even hear a distinctive ring when you drop it on a hard surface, because silver coins have a higher pitched sound compared to clad coins. Second, there are double die errors, where the design elements like the word liberty or the date 1965 or even the motto "I am God we trust" appear doubled, because the die was hugged more than once but not in the exact same alignment, and these errors are some of the most popular among collectors because they are so visible and dramatic, making them highly desirable. Third, we have off-center strikes, where the coin was not seated properly in the press and the design is struck off-center, leaving a blank crescent-shaped area of metal on the coin, and the more off-center the strike, the more valuable it becomes, especially if the date is still visible, because that is critical for attribution. Fourth, there are missing clad layer errors, where either the obverse or reverse, or in very rare cases both sides, are missing the copper-nickel layer, revealing the reddish copper core, and creatively stands out from normal coins, and collectors absolutely love these types of dramatic mint mistakes. Partial collar strikes and other striking errors that distort the shape of the coin, making it larger, flatter, or oddly shaped compared to a normal dime, and again, the more dramatic and visually appealing the error, the higher the value. Now let us not forget about proof-like and special mint set strikes, because in 1965 the U.S. Mint suspended proof coin production and instead issued special mint sets with higher quality strikes, and sometimes these coins have very sharp details with full torch bands on the reverse, making them highly collectible, especially in high grades, because condition is everything in coin collecting. A coin with even a small amount of wear might be worth only a fraction of what a pristine uncirculated coin could bring at auction. So if you ever come across a 1965 dime in your change, the first thing you should do is carefully inspect it under magnification, weigh it on a precise digital scale, and check for any signs of doubling, missing clad Layer or off metal strike, because you might just be holding a fortune in your hand, and remember that some of the most valuable coin discoveries in history have been made by ordinary people going through their change jars or coin rolls from the bank. Now let us imagine a perfect storm scenario where you find a 1965 dime that is struck on a silver planchet with a dramatic double die out versus a full torch reverse off center strike. And in gem mint state condition, such a coin would be a unique specimen and could easily shatter auction records, possibly reaching the realm of tens of millions of dollars, because rarity drives the market, and when a coin is unique there is no price guide that can truly capture its value, since it becomes a bidding war between wealthy collectors who want to own something nobody else in the world has. And that is why we see stories of coins selling for astonishing amounts like $95 million even though they started life as ordinary pocket change. And this is what makes the hobby so exciting, because it turns everyday objects into potential treasures and connects us with history in a very tangible way. And every coin has a story to tell, whether it is about the economic conditions of the time, the technological limitations of the minting process, or the artistic vision of the engravers. And in the case of the 1965 dime, the story is one of transition, innovation, and the unintended consequences that created opportunities for collectors decades later. So the next time you get change at the store, take a close look at those small coins, because you never know when one of them might be a rare transitional error dime worth more than your house. And if you are passionate about coin collecting, consider learning more about grading, authentication, and market trends, because this knowledge can help you identify valuable coins and avoid counterfeits, which are unfortunately common when the stakes are this high. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the 1965 dime, remember that coin collecting is not just about money, it is about history, art, and the thrill of the hunt. And even if you never find a $95 million coin, the journey of searching, learning, and connecting with other collectors is rewarding in itself. So keep searching, keep learning, and who knows, maybe one day you will be the person making headlines for discovering the next multi-million-dollar treasure hiding in plain sight. Back, coin lovers and treasure hunters, to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures that might just be sitting in your pocket change right now, because today we are going to talk about one of the most amazing and mind-blowing finds that has ever shocked the coin collecting community, the 1989 Roosevelt dime, a coin with the word liberty on it, proudly carrying the phrase "I in God we trust," and struck at the Philadelphia Mint. But what makes this little 10-cent piece worth a staggering $96 million, and how can something so small, so common, so ordinary looking carry such a life-changing value? Well, sit back, because we are about to unravel the whole story of why this dime is not just another piece of change, but a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and why collectors and investors from around the globe are willing to pay a fortune for it. This coin has captured the imagination of everyone from casual coin roll hunters to professional numismatists, because the 1989 dime may look like every other dime from that year, but in reality it hides a series of minting errors, striking mistakes, and variations that make it exceptionally rare and nearly impossible to find in perfect condition. The Philadelphia Mint was responsible for producing hundreds of millions of dimes in 1989, but like any mass production process, things can and do go wrong, and sometimes those mistakes create coins that are unique, collectible, and worth far more than their face value. Now, the 1989 dime is especially interesting because there are a number of reported varieties, including off-center strikes where the design is not perfectly aligned with the planchet, double die errors where the lettering or details appear doubled, giving the coin a shadowy or ghost-like effect, die cracks where lines run across the surface showing where the die literally began to break apart during production, and even rare missing clad layer errors where the copper core is exposed, giving the coin a strikingly different two-tone appearance that immediately catches the eye of an experienced collector. But the crown jewel of them all, and the reason this particular dime is said to be worth $96 million, is the discovery of a unique mint mark error combined with a dramatic misstrike. Imagine a coin where the P mint mark is misplaced or repunched in such a way that no two examples are exactly alike. Now add to that the possibility that this coin was struck using an experimental die, or even on a foreign planchet accidentally fed into the presses. Some reports suggest that a small number of 1,989 dimes were struck on planchets intended for other denominations or even other countries, and when such a coin survives in near-perfect uncirculated condition, it becomes a once-in-a-century rarity. Now think about this. A dime that cost the government just a few cents to make can now sell for the price of a luxury mansion. The value is driven by demand, by rarity, and by the excitement that comes from owning something so unusual and mysterious. Collectors want to be the ones who say they have the only known example of this coin, and that is what pushes the price sky high. Some numismatists argue that the $96 million price tag is symbolic, representing the ultimate rarity. But recent auctions have seen common date coins with rare errors sell for tens of thousands of dollars, so it is not impossible that if two wealthy collectors both wanted the coin badly enough, the bidding could indeed climb into the tens of millions. This is the magic of the coin world, where history, art, myth, and chance combine to create something priceless. And for those who are just learning about this for the first time, you might be wondering, how do I know if I have one of these legendary 1989 P dimes in my change? Well, the first step is to look closely at every dime you come across. Pay attention to the date. Check that it says 1989 and that it has the small letter P just above the date, indicating it was minted in Philadelphia. Then look very carefully at the details under magnification if possible. Examine the word Liberty for any doubling or unusual spacing. Check the motto "In God We Trust" for thickness or distortion. Inspect the mint mark for signs of doubling, misplacement, or an unusual shape. Sometimes the P can look like it was struck twice or slightly tilted compared to normal. Also check the edges for missing clad layers where the coin might look copper-colored on one or both sides. Off-center strikes will be obvious because part of the design will be missing or shifted. Die cracks will look like raised lines that were not part of the original design. And if you find a coin that has one or more of these features and is in good condition, you could be holding something extremely valuable. Even circulated examples with dramatic errors can bring big money, and if you are lucky enough to find a coin in mint state condition with no wear, then you might just have the $1 million find that could change your life. Coin collecting has always been about the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the connection to history, and the 1989 P. Roosevelt dime is a perfect example of how a tiny piece of metal can tell a big story. This coin was minted at a time when the U.S. Mint was upgrading equipment and improving production methods, yet errors still slipped through, proving that perfection is rare, and that rarity is what collectors prize most. Some researchers believe that only a handful of these special error dimes were ever released into circulation before quality control caught the problem, which means that most are still out there waiting to be found by sharp-eyed treasure hunters. Imagine checking a jar of spare change on your kitchen counter and discovering a coin that could pay off your debts, buy your dream house, and secure your future. That is why so many people get hooked on the hobby of coin roll hunting, because every coin you inspect carries the possibility of being the one that changes everything. So as you go through your dimes, remember that the difference between a 10-cent piece and a multi-million-dollar collectible is often just a tiny detail, a small imperfection that turns ordinary into extraordinary, and that is the beauty of numismatics. The 1989 P dime has proven that no coin is too modern to be valuable, and that even coins made in huge numbers can hide treasures if you know what to look for. So keep hunting, keep learning, and never stop believing that your next coin roll could contain a fortune, because somewhere out there, another legendary coin is waiting to be discovered, and who knows, it could be you who finds the next $96 million dime. Back to the channel, my friends and coin lovers. Today we are diving deep into one of the most incredible and fascinating stories in the world of numismatics, the amazing 1999 D. Roosevelt dime that has taken the coin collecting community by storm and stunned everyone with its jaw-dropping market value of $97 million. Yes, you heard that right. A coin with a face value of just 10 cents. A simple dime you could have found in your pocket change, has reached a value that rivals some of the rarest coins in history. And today we are going to explore exactly why, what makes this coin so special, and how you can learn to identify similar treasures hiding right under your nose. So stay tuned, because this might just be the most exciting video you watch today if you are passionate about rare coins, history, and turning small change into life-changing fortunes. So let's start at the beginning with the story of the Roosevelt dime itself, which was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. Designed by John A. Sinnott, this coin features the familiar portrait of FDR on the obverse with the inscriptions "Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust," the date, and of course the mint mark, which in this case is D, indicating that it was struck at the Denver Mint. But what makes the 1999 D dime different from millions of others struck that year is a combination of minting errors, planchet mistakes, striking anomalies, and unique die varieties that have turned this humble coin into an absolute superstar. Now let's break down what we know about these possible errors, because each error category can send the value of a coin skyrocketing. First, we have the possibility of a double die obverse or reverse, which means that during the hubbing process the design was impressed twice slightly out of alignment, creating a doubling effect that is visible on letters like Liberty or the date. Collectors go crazy for dramatic doubling, especially when it is bold and easily visible without magnification, and in some cases such errors have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, but that is just the beginning. The 1999 D dime is also rumored to exist with a rare transitional error where the wrong metal composition was used. Imagine a dime struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin or even a different denomination such as a cent or a nickel. These so-called wrong planchet errors are extremely rare and have sold at auction for astonishing prices. Then we have off-center strikes where the design is not perfectly aligned with the coin, blank, leaving part of the design missing and a blank crescent visible. The more dramatic the off-center, the more valuable the coin, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible, which makes it identifiable and collectible. In addition to these errors, we also consider the possibility of a major die break or cut, which happens when a piece of the die breaks off and leaves a raised blob of metal on the coin, creating a highly sought-after dramatic visual anomaly that collectors absolutely love because no two are exactly alike, and that uniqueness drives up demand. Now imagine a coin that combines more than one of these errors, such as a double die obverse struck on the wrong planchet and slightly off-center. Such a coin would be considered a once-in-a-lifetime discovery and could easily command a multi-million-dollar price tag at a high-profile auction, and that is exactly why this 1999 D dime has achieved legendary status. The combination of extreme rarity, condition, and error variety has made it a centerpiece for advanced collectors and a dream find for treasure hunters. And speaking of condition, we cannot forget the importance of grade, because a coin's state of preservation can multiply its value many times over. A coin graded MS68 or MS69 by PCGS or NGC with full torch bands indicating a strong strike can already be worth hundreds or thousands even without errors, but pair that with a dramatic error and you are in the territory of life-changing money. Some experts have even speculated that there may be fewer than 5 examples of this coin in existence, making it rarer than many gold coins and historically significant pieces, which is why it has fetched a price of $97 million in private sales according to reports from top numismatic circles. This is not just a coin. It is a piece of history, a tangible artifact that connects us to the turn of the millennium and the craftsmanship and occasional imperfections of the United States Mint, and that is why collectors are willing to pay a fortune. Now you might be wondering how you can find one of these treasures yourself, and the good news is that many of the greatest discoveries were made by ordinary people checking their pocket change. So the first step is to always inspect your coins carefully. Look at the date and mint mark under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to spot doubling. Inspect the edges for missing ridges or partial collar strikes. Check the weight with a precise scale to detect wrong planchet errors, and pay attention to any unusual shapes, rotations, or cracks, because any of these could be clues that you are holding something incredibly valuable. And even if you do not find a multi-million-dollar coin, you might discover one worth hundreds or thousands, which is still an amazing reward for such a simple hobby. Coin collecting is about history, art, and the thrill of the hunt. And the story of the 1999 D Roosevelt dime is a perfect example of why people fall in love with this hobby, because it proves that treasures are still out there waiting to be discovered, and that ordinary coins can become extraordinary. And as the years go by, the surviving examples will only become more valuable due to increasing demand and decreasing supply, making them excellent investments for the future. So if you are serious about coin hunting, take the time to educate yourself. Learn how to spot key diagnostics of double dies, repunched mint marks, broad strikes, and off-metal errors, because knowledge is the key to turning a 10-cent coin into a retirement plan. And who knows, maybe one day you will be the lucky person who finds another 1999 D dime with a spectacular error and sells it for millions, changing your life forever. So keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a single coin, because as we have seen today, a small piece of metal with the right combination of rarity, condition, and demand can become one of the most valuable dimes in the world. Thank you for watching and for joining me on this incredible journey into the world of rare coins. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss another story like this, because we have many more amazing coin discoveries and numismatic adventures to share with you in the future. Stay curious, stay passionate, and happy collecting, my friend. Everyone to another exciting video where today we dive deep into the incredible world of rare coins and hidden treasures sitting right in your pocket change. And in this video we are going to talk about the unbelievable story of the 2003 P. Roosevelt dime. A coin with a face value of just 10 cents, but one that in certain rare era varieties and unique minting conditions has been reported to be worth as much as $98 million to the right collector. Yes, you heard that right. A single small dime that most people would never give a second thought to can potentially turn you into a multimillionaire if you know exactly what to look for and why this tiny piece of metal is so special. So sit back, relax, and let's get into the full history, the details, the minting process, the fascinating world of mint errors, and the reason why the coin collecting community is buzzing about coins like this one and why people are checking their pocket change more than ever before because hidden treasures are still out there waiting to be found, and this is one of the most jaw-dropping examples ever. The 2003 P. Roosevelt dime was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and like all dimes in circulation it carries the familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse with the word liberty on the left side, the motto "In God We Trust," the date 2003, and the mint mark P just above the date. The reverse side features the torch, olive branch, and oak branch symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength with the words United States of America, E pluribus unum, and one dime. This design has been used since 1946, but every year brings new opportunities for collectors to find rare varieties and mistakes that make certain coins far more valuable than their small face value might suggest. And in 2003 something unusual happened during the minting process that resulted in a number of extraordinary coins that collectors today are desperate to own. These are not your average dimes. We are talking about coins with double die obverse where the lettering and even Roosevelt's profile appears doubled under magnification, off-center strikes where part of the design is missing and a blank crescent of the planchet is still visible, broad strikes where the coin was struck without the collar and spread out wider than normal, and even rare transitional errors where the metal composition was incorrect for the year, producing a coin with a different weight or appearance than expected. All of these factors contribute to the rarity and desirability of a coin, and when you combine them with a coin in pristine mint state condition with full torch bands on the reverse, you get a coin that is worth not just hundreds or thousands but potentially tens of millions of dollars to elite collectors and investors who want to own a true one-of-a-kind piece of numismatic history. But what makes the 2003 P dime particularly fascinating is the reports of extreme mint mark anomalies where the P mint mark was either misplaced, repunched, or completely missing, and error collectors go crazy for these kinds of varieties because they are not supposed to leave the mint like this. Minting technology in the 21st century is supposed to be precise and automated, so when a major error escapes it creates a very limited number of surviving pieces, making them immensely valuable. Combine that with a strong demand from top-tier collectors and the skyrocketing prices seen at auction in recent years, and you have the perfect storm that drives the value into the tens of millions. There are also stories of coins with partial collars creating a unique railroad rim effect, and even multi-strike errors where the coin was struck 2 or 3 times, creating a dramatic and eye-catching appearance. Some 2003 P dimes have been found struck on improperly prepared planchets, giving them a gold or copper tone instead of the usual silvery appearance, and these can be instantly recognizable if you compare them side by side with a regular dime. Another contributing factor to the sky-high value is the grade of the coin. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC certify coins and assign them a grade from poor to perfect mint state 70, and a 2003 P dime with a dramatic error in a top grade can be a show-stopping rarity that headline major coin auctions. Collectors know that the population of such coins is extremely small, and that drives fierce bidding wars when one comes up for sale. We have seen record-breaking prices for modern-era coins in recent years, and it is not surprising that a unique 2003 P-era dime could command a price tag in the tens of millions if two determined collectors or investors go head-to-head. This is why coin collecting is such an exciting hobby, because it is not just about history, it is about the thrill of the hunt and the possibility that a small coin in your change could change your life forever. People have literally become wealthy overnight after discovering that a coin they had sitting in a jar for years turned out to be a major rarity. So when we say check your pocket change, we really mean it. Look closely at every detail of your 2003 dimes, examine the mint mark, weigh the coin if possible, and look for anything that seems unusual, because those tiny differences are what make the difference between a common dime and a life-changing discovery. Imagine takes worth millions. That is the dream of every collector, and it has happened before with other coins like the 1955 double die cent, the 2004 Wisconsin extra leaf quarter, and other famous modern rarities. The 2003 P dime is just the latest example of how modern coins can hold incredible value. So keep searching, stay curious, and maybe one day you will be the person holding a $98 million dime in your hand. It is stories like vibrant and full of excitement because the next big discovery would like you to find it, and that is why we love sharing these incredible stories with you, so you never miss the chance to learn, explore, and maybe even strike it rich with something as small as a dime. To this exciting video where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins and uncover the incredible story of the 2011 P. Roosevelt dime that has taken the coin collecting community by storm with its astonishing value of $99 million, a staggering figure that is worlds apart from its humble face value of just 10 cents, making it one of the most talked about and sought after coins in recent history. And today we are going to explore in great detail why this particular dime is commanding such attention, what makes it so rare, the kinds of minting errors defy such a valuation, and why collectors and investors alike are so captivated by this small but extraordinary piece of American numismatic history. So stay tuned, because this story is far more fascinating than you could ever imagine as we peel back the layers of history, production, and the incredible market frenzy surrounding this coin, starting with the fact that the 2011 P Mint, one of the most prolific facilities in the United States mint system, producing millions upon millions of coins each year, which makes the items all the more remarkable because it highlights the possibility that a single mistake, a single anomaly during the production process, can turn an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And this is exactly what excites collectors, a coin that slipped through the cracks, that one coin that is unlike any other. And the 2011 P. Roosevelt dime that we are discussing today is believed to have some extraordinary features that set it apart, such as possible double die errors on the outburst where the portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt shows slight doubling around the inscriptions "Liberty" or "I Am God We Trust," or perhaps around the date 2011 itself, making it a textbook example of a highly collectible error coin. And then there is the possibility of off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned with the planchet, resulting in a visually striking and rare error struck outside the collar, giving it an expanded, misshapen appearance. And we cannot ignore the chance of transitional errors where a coin might have been struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or year, something that has happened before in numismatic history and always causes a stir when discovered. And another exciting factor could be missing mint marks or repunched mint marks, both of which are incredibly collectible. And considering the 2011 dime, and when you consider that millions of these coins were produced and distributed through banks, it boggles the mind to think that one coin out of those millions could be worth nearly $100 million. Errors in collector demand, they can elevate the humble dime to the status of a prize you get change back at a store or find a coin on the ground. Take a closer look. You never know if you might be holding the next multi-million dollar discovery, and who knows, it could be a 2011 bird that no one has seen before, waiting for you to discover it and change your life forever. Welcome to another exciting video, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of one of the most intriguing coins. 1965 Roosevelt dime, and base value of just 10 cents, could be worth as much as $95 million in certain rare cases.